Hey y'all, if this is your very first live cast with me, I'm Natasha Hazlett, and I help entrepreneurs from around the world get the clarity, confidence, and strategies that they need to boost their income and level of influence in the world without working longer hours. And today I busted through a 3-month business block. This thing has been on my mind and bugging the you-know-what out of me for like 3 freaking months. Hey, Angela. And so I want to share with you how I managed to finally break through. Because, honestly, I had this thing that I wanted to do that I knew for a fact would grow our business exponentially. I knew this because probably a year ago, maybe a little bit more than a year ago, a coach told me that I needed to add this one particular component to our business, and it would make a huge world of difference for me. So I knew I needed to do this, and finally in May I was like, I'm gonna pull the trigger. I'm gonna get this part added to our business, and I started looking for the right resource. And I couldn't find it. I asked around for some help, and I just couldn't find what I was looking for. And it was really frustrating because at this point I knew that I absolutely needed this thing. And it was really not having it was totally holding me back from everything else that I was doing in our business. Or most of it, I should say, not everything, but a huge part of growing our business really relied on this one thing that I didn't have. And so it just bugged me. And it was like, like that commercial for like Prozac or whatever, where the little bouncing ball is walking around and there's like a little rain cloud over his head. Like, that's what this problem was to me. Like, it irritated me to no end. And finally, I just hit my threshold, and I was like, I am just done with this. Like, I cannot have this annoying thing following me around anymore. Like, I've got to solve this problem, like, now. Hey, Heather. Hey, Meg. So, here's what I did. I sat down, and I was in a business meeting with my husband, business partner, Rich, yesterday, and I was like, okay, we have got to solve this thing. Like, I'm done. This has to be put behind us. We have to figure this out, like, now. And so the first step that I took was deciding. I had decided that enough was enough and that I was solving this problem. Like, kicking the can down the road was no longer an option. The problem had to be solved. And it had to be solved. I put a deadline of August 10th. And I was like, this is going to be solved. This is all going to be buttoned up by August 10th. That's it. Hey, Mel. So then I asked the question. I was like, okay, so who do we know? Like, what do I need to do to make this thing happen by my deadline? Like, what? And immediately, 2 names came to mind. 2 names of people that I felt like could be the key to unlock the solution to this problem. And so I reached out to the first person yesterday, and I reached out to the second person today. And the second person I talked to immediately had a solution. And so basically, like, literally, y'all, like, within 36 hours of making a decision that the problem had to be solved, and number 2, asking the right question, like, who do I know that could help me unlock the solution? Boom, sauce. It's done. The problem is solved. It was hanging over my head for 3 months. Unnecessarily, clouding my brain, putting me in a bad mood from time to time, stressing me out, all I had to do was freaking decide and ask for the resources. Decide what I wanted and ask for the resources. And if y'all have been watching my lives, you know I talk about this, like, make a decision. What do you freaking want? Like, really, what do you want? And ask. I mean, ask and ye shall receive. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you, right? It really freaking works. It really, truly works that easily. If you'll just put those tools in action. It feels like the weight of the world is off of my shoulders now. The solution was even better than I had anticipated, even better than I imagined, and it was just served up perfectly within 36 hours of deciding that this was no longer going to be a problem that I was willing to carry around on my shoulders. So it just happens that way, and it's crazy. Like, it goes back to, for those of y'all that may have heard this, some of y'all may have not heard this story, but I had a friend who had a problem. She was living apart in a different state as her husband because of jobs, and she knew that she wanted to move back to her hometown. And I told her, I was like, well, you just have to decide if that's what you want to do. And I know that when I told her that, like, she probably thought I was just some smart ass and giving her that advice. Like, just decide what you want to do. Like, make that decision and start walking into that and stepping into that mode. And 3 weeks later, she writes me and she's like, just an update, you were right. I literally made the decision and boom, problem solved. Problem solved. Just like that. She's like, it was just like magic. And it is like magic. So if y'all are like facing a problem, just decide that you are going to solve the problem. Make the commitment that, like, not solving the problem is just not going to be an option anymore. Set a deadline. And make it even closer than what you are inclined to say. Because most of the time we're inclined to say, well, I'll figure it out in the next 30 days. No, forget that. Like, next 7 days, next 10 days, whatever. And then put some elbow grease into it. Ask the right question. Who can help me? Who can help me unlock this thing? Who do I know? Ask for the resources to be shown to you. And boom, watch what happens. So that's the message that I have for you today. And, feel free to ask me questions, guys. Like, I am always looking for suggestions and for topics that y'all want me to cover on these Facebook Lives, because y'all know I come to you at least 5 days a week. And so, ask me your biggest business questions or whatever you want me to, whatever you want me to talk about. I love doing these things. As y'all know, if you watched my live yesterday was my 1 year anniversary of putting on my big girl britches and doing a Facebook Live. It was so scary. It was so freaking scary to do my first Facebook Live. And I love them now. I get to see all my sweet friends. Hey, Erin, Lori, hi. Heather, oh, I'm so glad. I am so glad, Heather. That's awesome. And I guess I'll end with a little tip on these Facebook Lives, because I am actually just challenged one of my clients. We're going to see if they follow through on my challenge, and I challenged him. I'm like, you got to go do a Facebook Live tomorrow, and we'll see if he's up to the challenge. A bunch of my other clients have been up to the challenge, so I'm going to challenge y'all, and I did this yesterday also. Hop on, do a Facebook Live. And to piggyback on something that Heather just mentioned, she said she needed to hear this more than she thought. You don't have to have everything perfectly scripted out for this Facebook Live. You really don't. Like, I don't have like some like editorial calendar for these lives. I come to this with just the thought of how can I serve my audience, my friends, my colleagues, my clients. Like, how can I serve? How can I pour into y'all? And I look for these opportunities. And a lot of times these opportunities come in the form of me telling y'all about crazy stuff that I'm having to deal with, or disappointments, or frustrations that happen, struggles that I've gone through, and kind of how I came out the other side. So, today, I didn't know what I was going to talk about, and I was actually thinking about it the whole drive home from the cabin this morning. I went to my friend's cabin with her kids and with my little girl, and we had a great time. And the whole time I'm like, what am I going to talk about on today's live? And then, sure enough, this afternoon at about 5 o'clock this afternoon, I solved this freaking problem. And I'm like, boom, I'm going to just talk to them about solving problems. So, in these Facebook Lives, if y'all are going to do them, just share the message that's on your heart. Like, if you want to inspire others, if you want to empower others, if you want to make a small mark in the world, like, you can do that. Just pick up your phone, hit the little live icon, and just share what's on your heart. Because, it never ceases to amaze me how someone at the end of almost all of my lives will send me a message and say, or tell me on a phone call or something like that, or at a lunch, by the way, your Facebook Live the other day was exactly what I needed to hear in that moment. So, that's why I do these things. Because if one person hears this message and it helps them to have a slight mindset shift, have an epiphany, helps their life in some small way, then it was totally worth me taking out the 5-10 minutes out of my day to connect. So that's what I've got. That's a little you know what? And I just started talking like I wasn't anticipating on saying any of that stuff, but it just felt like that's what I should talk. That's how I should end today's live, to encourage y'all to use your God-given voice and to share your message. Don't worry about being perfect. Look at me. I've got like a lovely glow, sweat all on my face. It's really freaking hot, and right now in Idaho, it's like ridiculous. I think it's like consecutive days of hundreds. It's rough, even with the dry heat. So, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfectly done up or anything like that. Just be you and share your message. So, that is what I have for y'all this evening. Thank you for popping on live, and if you have any suggestions or questions for me to answer on another Facebook Live, shoot me a private message. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye, friends.